you, welcome, and I hereby call this workshop meeting of the Orangetown Town Board to order. Would the deputy clerk, please take the roll?
Yes, Councilman Vittori?
Here.
Councilman Troy?
Present.
Councilman Tierney?
Here.
Councilman Valentine?
Here.
And Supervisor Day?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. So a few brief announcements before we start the workshop meeting. We have on the 24th, next week is a regular town board meeting, so we have two public hearings scheduled. One is for a petition for zone change for Town Plaza 2, which is part of a building is in one zone and part of it's in another zone. They're trying to fix that. So it's a public hearing. Come in for public comment if you're interested. And then at 8:15 on the 24th, during the regular town board meeting, we have a proposed amendment to change the zoning for 70 Hickory Hill Road, that vicinity. There was an issue with the map saying one thing and the zoning saying another, and we're trying to level that out. Then again, on May 8th, we have a continuation of the public hearing for the performance standards local law amendment. If there's anyone to comment then, it's May 8th at 8:15. Then May 15th at 8:15, we have a public hearing for the devices in rights of ways and easements continuation from previous. Finally, on June 5th at 8:05 at the regular town board meeting, we have a scheduled public hearing to change a CS zone area in Pearl River to a PAC district, Galway Bay Contracting off on William Street. And finally, going back again to the 24th, since it's not a public hearing, we'll be honoring our Orangetown Poet Laureate, Rose Rashiakopi, for National Poetry Month. So we welcome anyone who's a fan of poetry to come by for that one. That'll be at the beginning of the meeting. Moving on to the agenda items, and for anyone who's watching for the first time, this is a meeting in which we discuss the items. There will be very few things, if any, voted on tonight. This is just discussion of stuff for the next meeting, mostly. So we'll start off with the first one here, and this is about the public hearing that we're going to have. Is all formality stuff related to that. Now, it says continued, Rob. We're going to need to continue that one when we get there, based on the notice dates and stuff, or?
Possibly. We do have something from county already, so.
Okay.
If we have everything, we may be able to vote on it.
We may be able to vote on it. Okay.
You may be able to vote on it, I'm sorry.
Well, you could. I mean, no one will count you, but you could. Yeah, we can't hear you back at home there.
Sorry.
What else? Okay, so then we're going with 3 is the same thing. We're still waiting on the secret language, but that's fine. 4 is the actual local law for the Town Plaza 2 change. I think it's duplicated, but it's just the language here for that. All right, so 5 is the opening. You guys good up to 5 now? Or? Okay. 5 is the opening of the next public hearing for Hickory Hill, and then also, is that one we'll be able to hypothetically close or continue?
I have not seen anything from county planning yet, so.
Okay. So we'll see how that goes, in terms of whether we can vote or not that night, and whether there's comment.
I have a question on that one.
Yes.
We're gonna change the zone there, right, to what, R40?
They want us to go to R15.
It was
R15.
mapped as R15.
R40 to
and it was-
R15,
yeah.
and then they can subdivide, right?
They could.
Okay. How does that affect all the other lots that are there?
Well, that's something that would be the subject of the public hearing, but, and Jane, is Jane here? No.
Jane's here.
Yes. Actually, Rick is probably going to handle that one, now that I recall. But right now, this one is only for that one parcel, 70 Hickory Hill.
Right.
Again, depending upon the outcome of the public hearing, the board may wish to consider the entire zone. You know, that's kind of where we're at with it. But can that one be subdivided? Yes, that could be subdivided if it switches to R15.
It's
Could-
partially in one zone and partially in another right now.
Yeah.
The corner of it's
Partially,
R40.
it's already in R15, if I'm correct.
Yes, one corner
right.
is.
Right,
Yeah,
but that was more of a,
Yeah.
So it's not spot zoning,
That's-
it's connected already to the R15 zone?
well, that was more of a kind of what you might call a Scrivener's error in terms of a deed was changed, so that the town didn't change the zone. That was an issue with the property. But irrespective of that, and again, we'll get into it at the public hearing, The other zoning, nearby zoning is R15. And again, I don't want to get into it too much here, but the property for about 20 years, or almost 30 years, has been treated, that neighborhood has been treated as R15.
It was
often.
mapped as
So,
R15, it had variances
again,
as
I think it's worth hearing what the
Yeah.
public has to say in terms of that, and then you'll have a clearer picture of it after the public hearing, I think.
Okay. Dennis, do you have anything else on that?
Thank you.
Okay, then we're just waiting on some language for the secret determination and the adoption. Then there's the proposed law, proposed change on 9. It's all related to the same thing here. And then we have the memorializing resolution. This is going to be requesting a speed limit reduction along the area of Route 9W in near the intersection of Oak Street Road. There was recently a new traffic light put in there by this, or about to be put in there by the state, not put in yet, and there's been serious speeding issues. We're trying to get it lowered, and the state would like to see that we want it, 1, and that we will enforce it, 2. So that's what this just says. And we'll vote on it then if anyone has any thoughts. 11 is appointing our alternate member to the planning board that we created the position for last time. We don't have to postpone if you want to vote on it. Is there a meeting between now and next Tuesday for the planning board, Jan, or no?
No,
No? Okay.
yeah,
So
I'd recommend
It's irrelevant
wait.
then. We'll just
Yeah, wait the 1 week.
Okay. Then the next one is the Verizon Network Fleet Telematics. I'm going to ask Anthony to come up because he's got the folks from Verizon to talk a little bit about this and explain it.
So the supervisor had asked for a way to better manage assets, and in this case, vehicle assets. Basically, Network Fleet Verizon Telematics is a device that is installed in every vehicle that reports all of the computer, all of the engine information back to one centralized point. So the goal here is to be able to figure out exactly what we have, what the condition is, and be able to make, management and maintenance decisions based on that. Pete Jascott is from Network Fleet. Come on up, Pete. Can just speak a little bit more specifically about the benefits of it.
Thank you for your time. I'm Pete Jascott, and this is Matt Alardi. We're with Verizon Connect, Verizon Telematics. Referring to what Anthony just had said, vehicle location, reporting, remote engine diagnostics. When a engine light comes on in the vehicle, in real time, it makes you aware of that occurring and what could be the cause of it. So you can eliminate problems when they're small before they become big problems from that perspective. Any questions you might have on your end?
Now, just to verify, and this is what I saw, I've seen the contract, but we're getting a big discount on the upfront cost here, right? We're getting free.
Absolutely. That's a really
The
good point.
hardware is free right now. 'Cause
Yeah,
we're doing it.
we're on the New York State OGS state contract, and that piggybacks on the GSA contract. And presently, the cost of the box is $80. Through the month of April, that $80 is $0. So you multiply that by your times of vehicles. The only upfront cost would be the cost of harnesses, and then once the vehicles are activated, the monthly
Right, so
service.
it's a big discount, and basically, it's a month-to-month contract, so we'll start off with the 256 vehicles total, since the hardware's now free. And as the management is introduced to it, we can see what we may want to turn off and reduce. We can reduce at any time from talking with the folks over there. Does anyone have any other questions for?
What other municipalities are using this?
Good question. Locally, right across the river, we have the city of Mount Vernon in the DPW department, and Joe Nigro, who's the commissioner there, as well as the police department in New Rochelle and the buildings and grounds in New Rochelle, and being implemented as we speak in the Department of Public Works in New Rochelle, the Commissioner Scott Pickup over there.
Obviously, New Rochelle likes how the system works.
Absolutely.
It's going to allow, I think the biggest thing is it'll allow, one, operational tracking and also maintenance tracking. I mean, if they get a check engine light, maintenance will know immediately what it is, so that they don't keep driving if it's bad, or they can if it's not a bad one.
Who's going to keep track of this?
So the department heads that are relevant will be involved in it, and also the maintenance sections will be involved in it. So there'll be, the chief of police, the Jim over there, and the highway, they'll be able to use that as they need operationally. and then their maintenance sections will be able to check the maintenance side of
The
things.
department heads are bought into this?
We've discussed in the past, and they all said in previous department head meetings, they've all been interested, so we're able to add that asset, and we'll be able to see like where the plows are in real time, for example, or where the patrol cars are.
I just want to clarify, so if I'm reading this right, it's $18.95 per vehicle per month?
Correct, correct.
$60,000.
$58,214.40.
Right, yeah. And again, that's the max cost per month, because we probably will turn off some vehicles, but while we can get the equipment free, we might as well spend a few more dollars now. Any other thoughts or comments on it? Okay,
The
great.
question is, the municipalities that have this system, do they, the savings are in that they can prevent a small problem from being a big problem?
That's one of them. To be specific, in New Rochelle, the police department, I specifically asked them what's their main benefit, and the word safety came up time and time again. Knowing where their police cars are and where they've been is critical. Knowing if there is a problem with the car, that's critical as well. And that's really, to put it in a nutshell, 3 S's: safety, savings, and service.
And tracks things like even hard braking and stuff like that, so you can instruct your vehicle drivers, hey, take it easier in these situations, or this area is known to be a speeding area, that sort of thing.
If, like in New Rochelle, their street sweepers, they actually had a resident that was taking dirt from the backyard and putting it in the curb. They were following the street sweepers to making sure that as that resident complained, they said, look, this is where the sweeper was. You have geofences, breadcrumb trails, so you can see minute by minute where that vehicle was. So when the questions come up, hey, it wasn't in that area. Yes, here it was.
Broken mailboxes for the highway department or something during a plow, we'll know if it was a private plow on their driveway or if it was our guy, that sort of thing. Yeah. Any other questions? Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bless you. Okay. Hearing officer appointment for charges for an employee. Any comments? 13? That is D. Sorry. Then we have sewer registration certificates as they come in, getting approved. This is related to police training for, I read this before and now I'm confused.
Personal radiation.
Yeah, personal radiation detector training for the police. Reimbursement, okay. Yeah, it happened already, we're getting reimbursed, yeah, okay. So we'll get $6,000 back and change. Summer hours, in the past, the building has operated under a different summer schedule, which has allowed for there to be basically early morning and later evening, basically they're open later into the evening and they're open earlier in the morning, which allows a gap in the middle that is covered with less staff, if I recall correctly, unless you want to step up and explain it, Jane, or you could probably explain it better than I can.
So last year, the town board approved summer hours that were 7:30 in the morning to 5:15 PM, which allowed the public to make applications before going into work or at the end of the day, and not having to take half days, and it seemed to be very popular. When I started in October, they were still in that phase of the hours. What happens is they work a 4-day work week. So it's still a 35-hour work week. They work the 4 days, and they either have a Monday or a Friday off. It's still the same amount of hours, except they're each longer days. And we're always covered so that we have a certain amount of inspectors and a certain amount of clerks in on the Mondays and the Fridays, which are typically our slowest days. And it seemed very popular. We've been asked since, the spring weather did start, which I know it didn't feel like spring today, but it's been asked for the past couple of weeks. When it's starting again, it was very well received by the contractors and a lot of the public.
And the one change is that this is going to allow it to repeat, right? It's not just for this year.
Right, my understanding is last year when it was approved, it was just approved for that year. to see how it worked. So when we wrote the resolution this time, we took the year out so that we don't have to come back each and every year.
And the employees are all on board with it, was the last thing.
Correct. There's only one clerk, but that wouldn't affect the staffing.
Just one quick question. If it works so well, why don't we just change the hours?
Well, some of the feedback has been from the staff, when it started to get darker in October and the clocks changed, your daylight days are so much shorter. So they were coming to work in the dark and they were leaving in the dark. So it's actually a drain on your system. So right now, everyone feels they just want to do it once the clocks change. It's more comfortable and it works. It's not so bad going into work at 7:30 in the morning right now, but in the dead of winter, that's rough.
Yeah, I do it every day.
I think also that the buildings, I mean, it makes sense
But
to do, it would make sense
I'm
to do
just
around
wondering,
here,
because
but-
we're supposed to be
Yeah.
sorry, Chris, but we're supposed to be service-oriented. If it's better for the
Yeah.
contractors and the public, we really ought to consider doing this as
I
a
mean, yeah,
year-round thing.
I don't see an issue necessarily with that. I mean,
But I'm fine with doing it for now, and we'll see. But if it's better for the public, who we're supposed to be servicing, and
I mean, we can revisit it back in October again, if the board wants to consider
I guess
that.
the question is really the workload. I mean, are we, in the winter, do you see enough evening work and early morning work to justify it? Because obviously contractors are out more in the spring and summer. And are you catching up on stuff during the day in the winter that you were
That's
not
not
doing in the
true.
summer? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we're
we've been
always
steady
busy.
all year long. And
Yeah.
I think this winter's been busy as heck preparing for the spring. Most of the things are submitted and ready to go by April.
Maybe we could revisit this as we get towards the fall and see how it's gone again.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah,
it's
it-
permanent now for the summer. It wasn't permanent before. We're taking a big step in the
Yeah,
right
I'm fine
direction.
with doing this and then
Yeah.
revisiting.
I mean, the department's always busy. I do think this helps to have the longer day,
Yeah.
especially in the heat of construction, where things are happening a lot faster.
Yeah.
Over the winter, though, yeah, we're doing a lot of reviews, prepping for the warm weather to break.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Gene.
Then we have the Pearl Memorial Day Parade for Highway/Police for Lent Assistance. That's on May 28th. Then Grand Fondo, New York, that's coming up on May 20th from 8 to 3 p.m., which for anyone who's paying attention means that there'll be some road closures along the eastern side of town. This is about just,
And they
Use of
continue to
cones and stuff.
reimburse us.
they still reimburse fully. In fact, I'm told they reimburse better than most. They're very efficient about it, so. And I'm trying to work with them to get a little more attention for us in their packets that they give out to their riders. They spend money here too, would be nice. Another aid from Parks for the McHugh Porta-John rental for their 5K. And then 20 is to reclassify someone from senior clerk to principal clerk, steno. Does anyone want any?
What'd they
explanation
do,
of that?
desk order?
I don't honestly know. Is there someone from?
Yeah, this was based on the approval by the Orangetown person.
Okay, so they did a personnel. Okay. Is that the same thing for the next one too? Or,
This creates the position.
oh, this creates it in this, okay, I'm sorry. My mistake. I understand.
Okay.
And then we have proposed from DME to appoint Bart Reeves as laborer. There was a vacancy created when there was a vacancy filled at a higher level position. Going through the personnel loadout, there's going to be other opportunities for headcount reductions if necessary. Everyone good with this? Okay. Next from DME is reallocate for our, which one is this? The chief operator back to where he would have been a while ago. We talked about this, I believe, and
Yep.
I think he's very deserving, a very qualified guy. This was the prior salary. It's now going back to what it was. And personnel. Do we have? Was there a separate chief for the other one or no? Where'd it go? Yeah,
That's right.
there's a third one for Damie.
No, that's it.
You guys have a separate sheet on another appointment, another grade change for Damie? I don't see it in my packet here.
I thought that was taken off.
If you could, yeah. We'll go back to that. All right, we'll come back to that. We'll go to the next one. Well, we're getting a copy of it, sorry. Next one is the Voluntary Employee Retirement Incentive Program. This is going to allow us to basically give a bonus to folks who retire at a certain time. It allows us to cap it should we so choose. We don't have to stop it at 20, but we can if we want to. We have about 40 eligible under the terms of it. I personally would say if 40 wanted to go, we should, but I think it's good to have that protection in there. And that'll allow us to reevaluate each position, make sure we need it, make sure whether it should be gotten rid of or retitled, or if everything is the same, we want to keep it, and we just are able to get folks out with a nice bonus in their retirement and get someone a better healthcare plan that's more efficient for our town. There'll be no unwanted retirements in the course of this. It's all just as wanted by the employees. Any questions or comments from the board, or no? Nope. Okay. And so we just have that one that we're waiting on. That was for, it was Keith Brennan from grade 12 to grade 14 for the sludge press operator. We'll go from memory. We'll get the actual paper in a second. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts about it, or if you want to ask the commissioner about it. But basically, the explanation I've gotten from our chief operator and from Joe is that he has, the previous sludge press operator was at a higher grade than this, and he has now stepped back up to doing a role that he wasn't doing previously in this in terms of training and doing more than he was doing at the grade 12, and we're kind of splitting the difference as to where the other one was and where he is now to put him at a 14. I think he was at a 16 or 18, the last operator. Yeah. Same title, changing the. I don't recall if it, but I don't know. It got to my desk. Okay. Well, like, we're not voting on it tonight, so maybe things went out of order a little bit. Luckily, she's here, so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, you want to hop up there and give your thoughts on it?
As you mentioned, Supervisor, the position previously was a grade 14, and it was changed to a grade 12 a number of years ago. We feel that it should revert back to a grade 14 because of his performance, and that he has trained 3 individuals to assume his duties basically when he is not there, on vacation, when he's sick, because it's a continuous operation that that is vital to the operation of the plant, basically. There was a gentleman that he worked with about 6 years ago who was a maintenance mechanic too, doing the same work, and he was a grade 17.
And they worked together at the time? It was 2
They
people
worked
operating
together,
the press?
yes.
Normally it's 1 now, right?
Now it's 1.
Okay.
That's correct.
So that was explained to me by Mike Weber. Also, basically, it was a higher grade with a grade that's 14, 2 for this, and then it became down to 1 person at a 12, and now he's training other people. So the thought process is to get him back up to a 14.
That's right. And it is something that needs to be acknowledged, accepted by the union.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of early in the process for that, to have that approval at this time. But it's something that we'll need in writing, and something that normally goes through Deputy Town Attorney Teresa Kenny.
Sure.
So this wasn't through a desk audit, Joe?
He applied for a desk audit, and the desk audit has not been completed.
Okay.
So is he supervising more people? He just trained 3 people that when he's not there, they backfill his position? And when they backfill his position, do they get out of title pay?
He trained and supervised simultaneously 3 people, and they do get out of title pay if they are at a lower grade when they do the work when he's not there. That is correct.
Yeah.
There were also, the first 2 gentlemen he trained are now at higher grades. So if we use them to backfill his position when he's not present, they don't get out of title pay, obviously.
All right, well, who's backfilling that position when he's out right now?
He's out right now. Most of the time, it's been Mr. Batari, who's a laborer, and he does get out of title pay.
This was part of a previous thing where we had to change, in terms of backfilling that position, we had to change who was doing it because there was a choice basically between either a laborer that wasn't qualified or people who were way above his grade who were overqualified. So we had to start training laborers and give them special designation to let them run the thing independently without direct supervision. And that's kind of the process that was occurring for the last couple months. So we don't have to pay overtime for a supervisor for, this position. Okay. Any other thoughts? Obviously, we'll run it through with the union and with their attorneys, and then we'll all make our final call on it next week, or if not. Okay.
Okay? Good.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone have any other last things they want to talk about during our workshop meeting generally, or? Okay, do we have anything to go in executive session on, Rob, or no?
You want to go on property issues or?
Yeah, actually, we should go on property, yeah, okay. So, we don't have any, to my knowledge, any adjournments in memory of, although unless we want to do one for Barbara Bush, who just passed away moments ago, as I understand, so, yeah. So, I offer a motion that we move to executive session to discuss the sale or acquisition of real property, and immediately thereafter adjourn in memory of our former First Lady, Barbara Bush. Is there a second? Councilman Valentine, all in favor? All right, thank you very much.